All right, welcome back to the channel. So Vasyl Lomachenko goes in on Devin Haney, says, stop lying, get your business straight. You never sent me a contract. This is another, so it's like deja vu with the Gary Russell Jr. situation. Let's talk about what Vasyl Lomachenko and Devin Haney had to say about them fighting each other and a contract that is supposed to be sent. Let's do that in this video. All right, welcome back. So this just seems to be like on rewind now. And, you know, it's obvious that, you know, new media is becoming or how can I say this? Internet, social media is really the #1 way to promote fights now, without a doubt. And as a result of that, you're seeing new techniques used to make sure that people take full advantage of social media. You've seen this with Floyd Mayweather Jr. Many people cite Floyd Mayweather Jr. as really the person that began social media, really promoting boxing through social media, through YouTube, right? Through his relationship with Fight Hype and the such. If you ever really need to hear the history of that, there's a great channel, Blood Boxing. He always goes into the details of how social media really started and took off with Floyd Mayweather Jr., and how Floyd Mayweather Jr. used that to be directly in contact with fans, or as close to being in contact with fans as he could without having to use like traditional media to do so. So after many years of this now, because, you know, that, I don't know, when did that start? Say around 2010. So I think we're about, safe to say we're a good 10 years into, a good 10, 12 years into it. Younger fighters have come along, and they have started off knowing how to use social media as a way to promote themselves. That, I do believe, is the instance, an example of what's going on, or specifically what's going on with Devin Haney and like the contract negotiations that took place with him and or supposed to be going on with him and Vasyl Lomachenko, the ones that went on with him and Gary Russell Jr., right, where there's a lot of the conversation and the talk being done over social media. Now, I am, you know, a traditional, very traditional in negotiations, but I do know that you can get, in principle, a lot of work done over the internet in agreements and handshake deals, right? But once you get to the end of it and you got to kind of, you know, do the fine tuning of it, you got to make sure you cross all your I's and you dotted all your T's. You know, that stuff kind of has to happen, you know, between, you know, really between two camps. It's just kind of how it goes. However, the actual promotion of it and using conversations about contracts and term sheets and all that stuff as a way to increase interest in the sport of boxing is definitely being utilized to the extreme at this point, I'm sorry to say, because when Devin Haney, because now this is what Vasyl Lomachenko said, just to kind of get to the meat of it. Vasyl Lomachenko was interviewed by I think she goes by Snow Queen, but I saw the interview on Instagram, and she was talking about how Devin Haney and Bill Haney had said that they wanted to fight Vasyl Lomachenko, and that either Devin Haney said that there was a contract that was sent, or Bill Haney said that there was going to be a contract sent. Excuse me. One way or the other, somebody was supposed to send a contract. But and I'm not going to get into all of those details. I'm sorry. And in the main point that I'm going to make in this video, it's all of those details and all of those conversations that are really the point of that. I'm coming to believe are really the point of the whole negotiation online, right? Is to cause confusion, is to create a bunch of different conversations where it's, you know, he said this, she said that, he said this, she said that, but the whole time you're mentioning Vasyl Lomachenko, Devin Haney, Gary Russell Jr., Devin Haney, and just like Pavlov's dog, no matter what the conversation is that's going on or what the issue is that's being discussed, you're going to continue to hear Devin Haney's name associated with Vasyl Lomachenko's name, Devin Haney's name associated with Gary Russell Jr.'s name. It just, no matter what is going on, the confusion in and of itself is profitable for Devin Haney in this particular instance, and it could be profitable, I guess, for Vasyl Lomachenko or Gary Russell Jr. as long as Gary Russell Jr. doesn't walk off with everybody calling him a duck, right? Or Vasyl Lomachenko walks away with everybody saying, "Oh, Vasyl Lomachenko's ducking Devin Haney. Oh, Gary Russell Jr. is ducking Devin Haney." Right now, if Robert Easter was pulled into the conversation, and then it would be Robert Easter's ducking Gary Russell Jr. I mean, is ducking Devin Haney. I just think that, especially when you listen to the two things that were consistent, right? Which is that before the negotiation with Gary Russell Jr., Devin Haney already had a fight negotiated with Yuriorkis Gamboa. He had an actual fight date. They had the money worked out. And then what happens? We have a whole bunch of conversation, right, where the names are being out there. There's a lot of views on the videos, a bunch of back and forth, a big hoopla that pretty much took over most of the conversation in boxing at the time that it happened. But as a result, what did we get? We got Devin Haney fighting Yuriorkis Gamboa on the date that they had planned, right? That is what happened. So fast forward to what Vasyl Lomachenko was saying. Vasyl Lomachenko was like, there's all a bunch of confusion about, is Devin sending me the contract? Is Bill sending me the contract? Are they sending me the contract directly? Or are they sending the contract to my manager? Are they sending the contract to my promoter? Is it a term sheet or is it a contract, right? Just think of all of the different conversations and the way that confusion can be caused. And then we're going to all have a bunch of conversations about, no, he's ducking, no, he's ducking, no, he's ducking, no, he's ducking. To me, it seems like that is the intention of it. Because because it's just too many times that the guy that the discussion is taking place with already has a fight. And I just do not believe that Vasyl Lomachenko would be ducking Devin Haney. I don't believe it. It doesn't make sense to me. But more importantly, even if it's true, right? Now, I'm just telling you that I think that Devin Haney is being a savvy businessman. He's being a savvy promoter. And just like Floyd Mayweather said, love him or hate him, as long as they're saying your name and the butts are in the seat, you're getting what you want out of it. Clearly, Devin Haney is being successful in that regard because he's such a highly paid fighter. I do believe that he's making over $2.5 million, close to $3 million in a fight. That's the rumors that I've heard, right? When he says when the budget slot for Yuriorkis Gamboa is $1.5 million, at least that was my understanding. That means that Devin Haney is making more than that. So they're being very successful in using social media. Same way that Teofimo Lopez is being very savvy using social media. He's also being very savvy with his use of the purse bids and playing Triller against Top Rank. All of that is fine and good, very, very astute, make your money type of stuff. The only thing that I would warn about is that at a certain point in time, the act gets old, right? It's only going to be so many times that people are going to say, okay, I believe Gary Russell Jr. really ducked you, even though Gary Russell Jr. was in a conversation with Terrence Crawford at the time, or that Vasyl Lomachenko is now ducking you. The person that I think is ducking is Teofimo Lopez. Teofimo Lopez and Devin Haney is the fight that needs to happen, and that's pretty much about it. Or Vasyl Lomachenko needs to get a rematch with Teofimo Lopez. Now, I don't have any problem with how people promote themselves, but I do find it interesting that Vasyl Lomachenko is just like, look, man, just come straight with it. This is the deal. If you want to fight, we would have fought, but you had a fight signed up already, and it is what it is. But anyway, that's my take on the issue, on the situation. That's what Vasyl Lomachenko had to say. You let me know what you think in the comment section. And with that, I'm out. Peace.